Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Hit with the Business. I'm your host, Paul Matt. We got Brian Cosgrove with us, as always. Brian, how you doing, my friend?
Not too bad today, Paul. How about yourself?
Having a great day, brother. Glad to be alive. It's December. I got a stiff one with me for this episode here. Pause. That's what she said. We like to have fun here on Hit with the Business, but I'm very excited to dive into this topic that we'll be getting into today, Brian. I haven't seen anybody talking about this. I'm in the world of shipping. I work for a global shipping company. Brian, you are a volumetric analyst, so we kind of keep up on things, and this is right up our alley. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about this. The USS Carney responds to multiple attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea, but we're also going to take a look at the Suez Canal and the Ben Gurion project. So let's get right into it. All right, guys. So what you're looking at here, this might be something that you remember. All right. A couple years back during COVID, we had an evergreen ship get lodged and stuck like this. A lot of important things were delayed because of this. This is a very important canal, the Suez Canal. And I don't know if you remember this, but I remember this like it was yesterday. The world was freaking out. It was all over the news everywhere, Brian. This evergreen vessel stuck, big passageway that a lot of vessels go through to ship things around the world. And there ended up being a shortage of some things because of this. Brian, do you remember this happening?
Yeah, I do. It was actually always an interesting topic to always find out what's going on in like the shipping world and like our supply chain. There was like there was a conspiracy out about this that like it was done on purpose to like show that we need like another route to do like what we're gonna talk about in later on in the episode, the Ben Gurion project. But yes, I do remember this happening. I think they lost like in total like $9.2 billion in the like 6 days that it was blocked up or something like that.
It was like, I think, billions every single day,
Yep.
something like that, to the tune of that. Maybe we can look that up later, but let's just switch up what I said we would get to here. So the USS Carney responds to multiple attacks on commercial ships in Red Sea. We wanted to talk about this, Brian. You got an alert on your phone. I also got a similar alert. This happened just over the weekend, guys. This is very scary. Ray Dalio, who's the CEO of Bridgewater, he's a very brilliant guy. He's a billionaire, and he wrote a book called The Changing World Order. He knows, what history looks like and predict things that are coming up in the future based off of history. If you look at what's going on right now geopolitically and all these wars around the world, Red Dalio thinks there's around a 50% chance at this point now World War III happening. And this is just inching us closer to that, Brian. All right. So USS Carney responds to multiple attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea. Guys, this was yesterday, December 3rd. Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Commercial ships came under attack Sunday by drones and missiles in the Red Sea. Remember this, the Red Sea. And the Navy destroyer Carney shot down multiple air drones during an hours-long assault claimed by Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels, officials said. The attacks potentially mark a major escalation in a series of maritime attacks in the Mideast linked to the Israel-Hamas war, as multiple vessels found themselves in the crosshairs of a single Houthi assault for the first time in the conflict. This is scary, Brian. This is American ships now that are coming under fire. So this, like I said, things like this are just going to be inching us closer into involvement. And, once more people get involved, you have a domino effect because of alliances and things of this nature, and people having to give up their military resources to help their alliances. And that's what leads into World War III. What's your take on this, Brian?
Having a brother that was in the military that fought and died for this country, I definitely think that this is going to lead to a huge escalation. It definitely makes me mad. Because right now, like they're just attacking for no reason. Like we're just in the Red Sea. We're not invading in on them just yet. And the fact of the matter is they're kind of like bragging about it. They say their movement says it has target. They claim they also like aren't even like denying the fact. They were just like it says it has targeted 2 Israel ships with an armed drone and a naval missile. Reports a spokesperson from the group's military. Like they're literally just like rubbing it in our face at this point that like they're just like attacking us and we're doing nothing about it. And I just get that it has me boiling right now. Because everybody should be up in arms. Everybody should be mad right now. And everybody seems to be like so like considerate of the other side. There is no being considerate in war. When you get drafted, there is no being considerate. Just like you said, they were talking about a 50% chance of us going to war, and I believe it. After all this has gone down.
All told, there were 4 attacks against the 3 different commercial vessels operating in the southern Red Sea's international waters. And you should just have somebody willing to come to the table and negotiate to stop all these wars. It's sad. There's innocent people on all sides. All these countries that are there, there's innocent people dying on all sides. That's the biggest thing that matters. So we're going to shift. All right. That image I showed you first of that vessel being stuck caught sideways, that was the Suez Canal. So, what is the Suez Canal, guys? The Suez Canal is a human made waterway that cuts north south across the Isthmus of Suez in Egypt. The Suez Canal connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea, making it the shortest maritime route to Asia from Europe. Since its completion in 1869, it has become one of the world's most heavily used shipping lanes. Let's take a quick look at this guy right here. This is the Suez Canal right here, guys. The Ben Gurion project will be right here. So remember that. Ben Gurion project. All right. Why is the Suez Canal important? Let's take a look at this article real quick. Top 5 busiest global major shipping routes 2022. Obviously, it's 2023, guys, but this hasn't changed. Number 1, U.S. Asia, the Panama Canal. This is super important. There's a lot of issues. The water's running low. This is a difficulty that I'm facing in my job that's affecting my industry. But number 2, guys, the Suez Canal. This is the second biggest canal in the world. All right, 19,000 ships traveled through here in 2020, representing 12% of global trade, 30% of global container traffic. This is a huge, huge canal, and a lot of global shipping depends on this area. And what's going on with it at the moment? I'll tell you what's going on. It's clogged up. This is the Wall Street Journal, guys. All right, there's been issues with this canal. There needs to be an alternative. And what do you know? Right in the middle of this war at Gaza, what is an important aspect of this whole thing, Brian? Gaza. All right. So that's what we're going to be shifting our focus to now, Brian, the Ben Gurion project. Look at the dates on all these articles. These are all extremely recent. So as Israel intensifies its Gaza onslaught, focus turns to the controversial Ben Gurion Canal project, originally proposed in the 1960s as an alternative to the Suez Canal. Israel continues, excuse me, as Israel continues its onslaught on the besieged Gaza Strip, talks about a long-discussed economic opportunity known as the Ben Gurion Canal project have surfaced online. Named after Israel's founding father, David Ben Gurion, the project, conceived in the late 1960s, sought to create an alternative route to the Suez Canal, the primary shipping route connecting Europe and Asia. While Israel rejects calls for a ceasefire and its military campaign on Gaza showing no sign of an immediate end, it becomes crucial to delve into the historical context of the Ben Gurion Canal project, its proposed significance, and the intricate geopolitics surrounding the Suez Canal. So yeah, we'll just stop it there. Brian, I'll kick it back to you. So far as we're diving into all this, what do you want to add? Any comments about the Ben Gurion project and the Suez Canal?
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where like just gotta do your own research, like we always say. I found this through independent sources. I didn't go through any mainstream media. A lot of mainstream media actually isn't covering it, and that's what makes it really interesting. Is like it's almost like behind the scenes, kind of like they've been doing for the past 8, 12 years. Of this ongoing war that we've been in. I mean, like we had 2,500 troops over there. Now we have 6,000. Now we have U.S. warships being attacked. Um, but I think that this it's like a stretch. It's like a stretch that this is like a legitimate thing, but I think it could possibly be just because of how bad like the supply chain has been lately. I definitely I like I've been finding like supporting documents and like declassified documents from the government, from specifically the Department of Energy, that have like actual like writings that say like where they would put the canal and like how many miles away everything would be. So it's just like you just dive deeper and deeper, and it just starts to make like a lot of sense, especially since like I think I read somewhere that in June of 2021 they wanted to plan to start this entire like plan to build this canal. So the dates are just kind of like linking up like way too well.
And we don't want to sound insensitive right now, Brian, and conspiratorial. There's a war going on and people dying, so we don't want to say that's all happening just so this can happen. It's very inconsiderate. There's lives being lost. Um,
It goes way deeper than that, but this is just like another like the like whatever you want to call it, like another addition to like why they might be doing it.
yeah, absolutely. And in all honesty, we're just scratching the surface with this. If we wanted to dive real deep into this and the history of the Suez Canal, the tension in this area of the world, and the Ben Gurion project, we would probably have to sit here for a couple hours. So right now, one of the biggest focuses is on Gaza. And this article dives into why Gaza is important for this project. So the US had once proposed to use some 520 nuclear bombs on the Negev desert to help create the canal. With Gaza razed to the ground, there have been alleged plans to literally cut corners and reduce costs by diverting the canal straight through the middle of the Palestinian enclave. However, the presence of Palestinians there would remain an obstacle. Well, what do you know? Now there's both parties that are at high tensions with each other in the midst of all this.
I just think there's a lot that goes into this entire like Ben Gurion project, because now I'm finding out that there's multiple articles out there now saying that they've actually tried to do this over in, where was it? It was called the Panatomic Canal. They really wanted to actually go to nuke a canal through Central America during the Cold Wars in the 50s and 60s. The AEC, which was the it was like the governmental agency for that was like in regulation of this during, I think it was Truman's presidency. Um, they were abolished in 1974 because of like being negligent and like not using the right safety methods and precautions. Um, so there's just like multiple things that are pointing to the fact that the government has really thought about like using explosions to level plains to try to make a canal. They did this in the 50s and 60s because it was during the Cold War, and Egypt had supreme control over the Suez Canal, so it was impossible to get trade through.
Did you want to share anything?
Yeah,
All right, go
I
ahead.
just want to share these declassified documents that I found real quick. This is from Business Insider, and Business Insider also found is the one that tagged Forbes from 2018 talking about the pan atomic canal that they tried to do in Central America. So the fact that we have like Forbes and also U.S. Business Insider like kind of like covering both of these at like different times, 2018 and 2021, and they're showing declassified documents from like the 1960s from the U.S. Department of Energy, from I think it was the Atomic Energy Commission. That's the department that was set up by Truman in 1946. That was abolished in 1974. That was kind of like carrying, like writing up these documents and like saying all this stuff. Across the Negev Desert, it has that exact replicated map that Paul showed before. Um, into another interesting application of nuclear excavation would be a sea level canal 160 miles across Israel, connecting the Mediterranean Sea with the Gulf of Aqaba. Such a canal would be strategically valuable alternate to the present Suez Canal and would probably contribute greatly to the economic development of the surrounding area. The difference in elevation between sea level and Dead Sea, 30 miles away and 1266 feet below sea level, might also be used to generate hydroelectric power. So like we're also talking about creating renewable energy with like the building of this new canal. Um, and that energy would probably be used to power the canal. Um, so it's just there's just like a lot that goes into it. It's very specific. Like 5 degrees for 83 miles, then turns at a bearing of 295 degrees. Like this definitely just doesn't seem like something that somebody could like fake. And here you
Yeah,
have unclassified. You have the dates, And this is ASTI.gov. This is the U.S. Department of Energy for Scientific and Technical Information. This is where I found that document.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you liked what you saw today. Another episode of Hit with the Business Guys, and we love you. We'll see you next time. Let's get it.